This is The Last Word and I'm Marya Shakil. Showdown is continuing in the Parliament. The discussion on the Union Budget 2024-25 presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on July 23rd is currently underway in both houses of Parliament. The opposition MPs had protested against the budget in the Lok Sabha and staged a walkout in the Rajya Sabha. They have been alleging that the budgetary allocation is biased against non-BJP ruled states. The government on its part says that the opposition must go through the fine print before levelling allegations. Remember, the monsoon session of Parliament, which began on July 22nd, is scheduled to end on August 12th. So how will it be playing out over the next few days? Let me bring in my guests. Krishna Prasad is a member of Parliament of the TDP. We have Tuhin Sinha of the BJP, Pushparaj Deshpande of the Congress, and Dr. Shantanu Sen of the TMC. I'm going to begin with you, Tuhin. It looks like that you are having tough time in Parliament.
Well, good evening, Maria. Good evening, everybody. You know, the opposition's criticism is very myopic. It is very puerile, to say the least. You know, just because the names of two states, Andhra and Bihar, were specifically mentioned, that does not mean that the other states have not got their due. In fact, it reeks of a very parochial mindset, because when we invest 5.22 lakh crores in defense every year, when we are investing 11 lakh crore in capital expenditure and 2.1 lakh crore in skilling and employment of the youth, we don't count which state is benefiting how much. These are programs meant for the national level. In fact, when defense has been the biggest beneficiary in the last 10 years, and the two biggest companies, HAL and BEL, are based out of Karnataka. But do we point that out? We don't point that out, because it's the country that benefits when the defense, when the defense sector grows up. So I think, when it comes to Maharashtra, some of the opposition MPs have been particularly vocal about Maharashtra. Maharashtra has been given the Vadhavan port, which has been sanctioned in the last 1 month, is to the tune of 76,000 crores. That is
not just Maharashtra, even Shantanu Sen's party has been talking about Bengal. Shantanu Sen, the government released the budgetary allocation which has gone for the railways in each and every state, which is substantially high from what it was during the UPA. Then why complain?
It has been categorically said by our party leadership, and especially by our National General Secretary in his speech yesterday, that is nothing but a budget to save the chair of Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. To please two persons, one is Mr. Nitish Kumar, another is Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. So it's an end, to me, it's an end square budget. Just to please two allies, depending on whom he is running the show of this unstable third NDA government. It is, in true sense, it's not an India budget. It's a budget. So far this budget is concerned, B stands for betrayal, U stands for unemployment, D stands for denial, G stands for false guarantee, E stands for eccentric, and T stands for tragic. This is what this budget is. And so far our state of Bengal is concerned, once again Bengal has faced this stepmotherly attitude, stepmotherly approach. There is hardly any allocation for this Bengal. The central government is taking 4.6 lakhs crores of rupees as direct and indirect tax. On the contrary, they are holding 1.75 lakhs crores of rupees, which Bengal is supposed to get from the central government for several projects. But just because they cannot win over Bengal politically, they are depriving Bengal time and again. And not only Bengal, all other non-BJP ruled states are being suffered.
Okay, Tuhin, is this the new example of cooperative federalism that you are setting, as the opposition alleges?
These are absolutely puerile allegations. Earlier this year, when Prime Minister had travelled to Bengal, and in fact to the constituency of Mahua Moitra, you as a journalist would be better aware of the schemes that were announced. So budget is not the only place where this government has been initiating new stuff. When 10,000 crores worth of investment is set aside every year for the Northeast, is it for one state or for an entire region ignored by the Congress party over many decades? I think We need to grow out of this my state versus your state. Every state has got its due, but yes, Bihar and Andhra were lagging behind, and therefore, after the creation of Telangana 10 years ago, the capital city of Andhra required certain investment which had been ignored so far, and they have got their due. But at the same time, when it comes to the special state category, we have not given that because there are certain rules and there are certain.
But you have given special
followed
package.
As per the
Or should I say part of special package that TDP has got. Krishna Prasad, you have been an ally of the BJP also in Modi 1.0. That is the first government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which was formed in 2014. Of course, Chandrababu Naidu walked out of this alliance in 2018. But the sense certainly is that you are able to negotiate it better because of reduced strength of the BJP. They need your support for continuing to be in power. So you are clearly the kingmaker here.
Let's go to the basics. What happened in 2014? How did the two states form, the AP and Telangana? Who declared the formation of the two states and who gave the AP State Reorganization Act? When they gave the act, why did they not give the budget? It is all Congress. They created a havoc, a chaos with these two states. The asset readjustment and reorganization, reappropriation also did not take place. When they declared the state, why did they not give the budget at that stage? So they plummeted Andhra Pradesh into darkness. And you look at the simple fact that any state, any country, does it not require a capital city? Where do the people go? Where will the government sit? So Amaravati is all about a capital city of the youngest state of the country. So this should have been formed in 2014. Thanks to Congress, they did not give the budget. It did not happen. And thanks to YCP, whatever development was done between 2014 and 18, YCP took it back all the way and destroyed the entire thing what was done. So the people of the Telugu people deserve a better treatment.
At that time, YSRCP was not in power.
Basically, now look at the Polavaram irrigation project. YCP came in power in 2018.
Yes.
And whatever was built by Telugu Desam Party between 2014 and 18 was again systematically dismantled by YCP.
Okay, but the question is that again, all that you got for the state, so has that increased only because your power of negotiation has become better because it's an alliance government? That is what I'm trying to ask you. But you have made a point against the Congress party.
It's very, very simple.
Deshpande of the Congress. I'm coming back to you, sir. Pushparaj, this is not for the first time that a government has reached out to its allies through packages or SOPs for their states. When the UPA was in power, similar, we saw something very, very similar. Let's not forget that Rail Bhavan was seen as the big portfolio which was given to your, critical allies. Mamata Banerjee got that portfolio when she was in UPA. So did Lalu Yadav because they were critical to you. So certainly, and then series of railway platforms and new trains would be announced for your alliance partners, something that the BJP is doing now. So what is really the problem here?
Hi, Marya ji. Thank you for having me on NDTV and a very good evening to all my panelists. We have absolutely no problem with Andhra Pradesh and Bihar getting any special package. We in fact welcome it. We only hope that this would have happened before they formed an alliance with the BJP. Why the BJP didn't do it for the last 10 years is something they need to answer. But we have a fundamental concern. Firstly, we are a federal polity and states have legislative and executive powers. That is why the India bloc is expecting that the government of India will devolve funds to state governments because they have an equal responsibility to further the welfare of citizens. Now, the 15th Finance Commission has mandated the government of India has to devolve 41% of total tax revenues, which I think is 38.5 lakh crores. The reality is that the BJP government is devolving less than 30%. Plus, it has reduced its share in central-sponsored schemes. Additionally, it has also not extended the due date for GST compensation. Now, there has also been a double standard in this budget, which just attacks the federal principles even further. Let me focus on just two NDA rule states, not even our states. Bihar, which is afflicted by floods, legitimately got 11,500 crores as flood relief package. Perfectly valid. But Assam, where 28 districts and 14 lakh people were also affected by floods, has not got any special package. Similarly, many states like Haryana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka have no special package or aid in the budget. The normal schemes aside, with regard to Maharashtra also, there is some allocation for Pune and Maharashtra, Bombay. But what about the rest of the state? We also need to do equal development for that. Essentially, what I'm trying to argue is that the government of India is starving state governments. This has profound implications for cooperative federalism, since states will now be forced to raise more debt. This is troubling because internal debt, as you know, has risen from 37.8% in 2014 to 48% in 2023. This is not sustainable. And the other bigger larger fundamental question which I have, which will actually take this debate further, is that the government is obstinately refusing to conduct the census. On what basis are they implementing new schemes? This is actually
Tween, you respond to him, and then I have another question for the Congress. Please go ahead.
Maria, first of all, it is very amusing that the Congress party, which has wreaked financial anarchy in every state that it has got to govern in the last 3 years. In Karnataka, they have squandered away all the funds, and then the minister said there is no fund for development. They should sermonize us on development. The whole premise of their criticism seems to be, why were only 2 states mentioned? If 2 states were mentioned, if all states had to be mentioned, the budget would have gone on for 4 hours. I am challenging the Congress spokesperson and the opposition spokespersons on your panel today. How many times during between 2004 and 2014 were Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat were mentioned in their budgets? So this is a very, very puerile criticism.
Okay, so you are essentially saying that this is some kind of tit for tat politics playing out.
No, I explained that if you start mentioning all states and all union territories, the budget would have gone on for 2 hours. But just
then what was the need of mentioning Bihar and Andhra Pradesh in particular? You could have done some calculation in mentioning one opposition rule states and one of your allied states.
For us, development initiatives is a year-long activity. it is not confined to the budget. Just last fortnight, the Prime Minister was in Mumbai. 29,000 crores worth of projects were announced only for the Mumbai region. And similar announcements and similar projects have been initiated across the country.
Okay, so but Mumbai region is again, Maharashtra is being governed by the BJP. So the question here is what is being asked by Dr. Shantanu Sen and other opposition rule states, which includes Mr. M.K. Stalin of Tamil Nadu, who is of the opinion that he will not be attending Niti Aayog because the entire purpose is not served if the budgetary allocation, according to him, is not fair. But my question then to Mr. Deshpande here is, don't you think that whatever grudges you may have, you can present it before the Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog isn't really a government body. It has chief ministers of all states, just as Mamata Banerjee, who is communicating to Niti Aayog what her concerns are. Similarly, M.K. Stalin and other chief ministers can also do.
Marya ji, I think that the supreme body for any kind of debate, substantive debate in the national interest is Parliament. That is where we want to raise these issues. We have been trying to raise these issues because they directly impact the Indian people, whether it's the fiscal rights of states or India's economic situation, Agniveer, terror attacks in Jammu and so on and so forth. We are not raising these issues to attack the government or be pointlessly antagonistic. We are doing so because as representatives of 40% of the electorate, it is our legislative and moral duty to raise these issues. We want our elected government to raise these issues. Prime Minister Modi and BJP needs to understand that they're the Prime Minister and the elected government of the entire nation, not just of one party or of one NDA bloc. And we are trying to offer our help and advice in resolving them. We also have decades of experience in governance. We are not trying.
So how are you following the principles of cooperative federalism, which you also talk about, by boycotting Niti Aayog meetings?
No, the point is
Siddaramaiah is boycotting it, also is Mr. M.K. Stalin.
The larger point I was trying to make, this is not about the budget alone. This is a structural problem which has been happening for the last 10 years. This is an attack on federal rights. Tax devolution has decreased. Cesses are not coming back to us. The GST compensation is not being extended. Plus, on top of that, the share of the state governments, the union governments.
Okay, Mr. Krishna Prasad, would you respond to this, please? That there is some kind of discrimination which is happening until the time you were not part of the NDA. You have been on both the sides of the fence. So you understand how the art of negotiation plays out.
No, as far as the current budget to 24-25 is concerned, I think unnecessarily the opposition parties are putting politics into economy and budget. This is a very simple budget where it started by saying what is the core of the entire budget. Honorable Finance Minister has made very, very clear that the budget is revolving around the poor, the farmer, the women and the youth. And again substantiated by talking about the skill development and the MSME and the employment and the internship, etc., etc. There are so many great things in the budget. Congress party and the opposition party wants to simply sweep everything under the carpet and look at rural development. If I remember the figures well, at about 2.65 lakhs. Look at the agri and allied agri sector. It is about 1.56 lakhs. So they are all in lakhs and lakhs and lakhs. Health, education. So many sectors are getting budget to that extent, which applies to the entire country. It applies to every state in the country. There is a mention about 2 states, which is very small. It is a delta when compared to the lakhs of budget for each sector. We are not talking about this. I don't know why. We should talk about what is the increase in the agri and allied sector, what is the increase in the rural development and Panchayat Raj. We should talk about those things. We should talk about what is the delta increase in health, education, etc. That is more important.
Dr. Shantanu said,
when compared to all that figures, this figure is very small.
Rural states being myopic in this discussion, that it's only about that delta. These are the 2 states which have suffered the more because of bifurcation. Bihar was bifurcated and Jharkhand created in 2000, and then you had another episode of bifurcation and then the reorganization, I should say, of Andhra Pradesh. Dr. Sen.
Marya, the basic message is very clear, which has been said few days back by the leader of opposition in our state of West Bengal inside the West Bengal Legislative Assembly कि जो हमारा साथ रहेगा वो हम उसका साथ रहेगा, यानी कि I will support that person who will stand by me, and that has been exactly reflected in the union budget placed by a failed finance minister of the failed government, Madam Sitharaman. It has proved once again that Mr. Narendra Modi is the prime minister of not of the entire nation but for the BJP workers and BJP supporters only. On the contrary, come to a state of Bengal and see how Raj Dharma is being served, how the service is being served by the chief minister who says that I do serve to those people who voted for me and at the same time to those who even didn't vote for me. Here lies the basic difference between Narendra Modi and Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee is the chief minister of 11 crore people of West Bengal, and Narendra Modi is the chief minister, prime minister for the voters of the BJP only.
Yes, so, Tuhin Sinha, you should compliment Dr. Shantanu Sen. The fact is that despite her opposition, Mamata Banerjee is going to attend the Niti Aayog meeting
of my friend
because she understands the significance of that platform. Yes, go ahead.
No, Marya, this Modi government needs to be
draw the attention of my
We
friend.
also have the option of playing to the gallery like the Congress party up to 240 seats, but instead we chose to go long on the India story. We continue to maintain the fiscal deficit below 5%. So, and a whole lot of measures in this budget are basically, in consonance with the larger plan of keeping the growth intact. So I think these people will not understand that because, with the way they have unleashed financial anarchy in all the states that they get to govern, they don't understand the concept of fiscal deficit. They don't understand the fact that, the taxpayers have been given certain concessions if we can compare it to the Congress era.
Okay. Let's start wrapping up this debate, and I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Krishna Prasad.
Yes, I think we are forgetting about, there was a comparison between India and a small state, West Bengal. I'm not saying small in the case, in the sense of derogatory. It is a state among the several states. Now, look, are we not proud as Indians that in the last 10 years, the 11th largest economy has now become the 5th largest economy, and the entire world is saying India is going to become the 3rd largest economy in no time. Should we not be proud of these things? Why are we looking at small things, like I said, delta things, and making it appear like Himalayan. I think we are wasting our time instead of looking at and focusing on the larger things. We are picking up very, very small things.
Okay, Dr.
And then,
Shantanu Sen.
and then making everybody run around on those issues.
Okay, Dr. Shantanu Sen.
With all humility, I would like to ask my TDP friend, kindly recall what your party did 5-6 years back in the same situation, in the same circumstances. And just answer my question.
Because it's a,
You know
the realities
we are
have
looking
changed.
forward for
That's the
India to
reaction
be the
is
third
different
largest
now.
economy.
You know what is a Kursi Bachao budget? I will give you one example. Manmohan Singh was very keen on increasing FDI in two key sectors like aviation and telecommunication. Some amount of pressure by the left parties, and he completely abandoned that plan. That was a Kursi Bachao attitude of Manmohan Singh. Instead, we have gone ahead with our larger objectives, and that is why this budget is a Desh Bachao budget.
So it's not Kursi Bachao, as the opposition says. In order to ensure that the government continues.
It is Desh Bachao.
Okay, so it's Desh Bachao. 30 seconds to you, Pushparaj.
Thanks, Marya ji. See, very quickly, I just want to respond to some things. The TDP MP says, let's not focus on big things. Let's not focus on small things. Let's only focus at the big picture. I think that looking beyond macro indicators, I really want him to look at the micro indicators that are affecting India. Consumption expenditure is at a historic 50-year low. Unemployment is at a historic 50-year high. Real wages are stagnant. Household debt, it is at a 34-year high, SBI report. These are things that the budget does not address. Moving on, the other BJP spokesperson talked about liabilities and debt. I think that Haryana, Odisha, Chhattisgarh have higher liabilities than any other states combined today. And the third thing is someone else talked about how this budget is pro-women, pro-rural, so on and so forth. NREGA's allocations have dropped from 2.44% of GDP in 2016 to 1.78. Samagra Shikra, which is a combination of 3 educational streams, has dropped from 1.29% of GDP to 0.77%. PM portion has dropped from 0.5% of GDP to 0.26. So I really don't understand. Just by cutting welfare expenditure, if you're going to be fiscally prudent, does not mean that you're actually furthering the interest of the or well-being of the
Okay,
people.
quickly respond to that charge that you have cut the expenditure in health and education. What is the real picture?
They would go by the data of foreign agencies. We go by the data of RBI, which says, that nearly 20 crore jobs have been generated in the last 10 years. The nature of employment is changing world over. Gig economy is picking up in a big way. And, the level of infrastructure creation, 11 lakh crore worth of capex every year simply cannot be jobless growth. This is something which the opposition needs to understand. Are robots constructing our infrastructure? Are robots constructing our roads and airports? So I think, the opposition
these
needs
are
to
assets for the nation. Why object to it is the point that's coming in. Yes, the TMC MP, Dr. Sen.
When you are talking about education and health, we must recall that the biggest scam in the education sector of the century is NEET UG scam. And I am not sure, if God forbid, if once again COVID comes, it might be the situation might be like this, that once again we have to see that dead bodies are floating in the river and mass funeral on the bank of the river.
All right.
And
we certainly hope that situation doesn't arise now, ever. Dr. Shantanu Sen, thank you so much for your time. Pushparaj, Tuhin and Krishna Prasad, thank you for speaking to NDTV. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.